What are some of the key takeaways for organisations like Worley Group following the COVID-19 pandemic? Such a question is both complex yet nuanced at the same time. The COVID-19 pandemic has devastated the world as we know it. Over 200,000 deaths worldwide, the pandemic has altered our livelihoods unerringly. It has stripped us of basic liberties that we took for granted. The economic and financial implications of the virus are damaging to say the very least. For multinational corporations such as Worley Group, the pandemic has posed an unprecedented threat to its operational and financial viability. My name is Michael, and I would like to put forward a 5-point plan providing a resilience framework for Worley Group in the aftermath of COVID-19. Because don't worry, COVID will be a thing of the past. Number 1. Communication is key. A people-first mindset is paramount. The critical question firms must ask after the onset of a pandemic event is whether their employees are firstly safe and whether they're able to perform their functions as normal. The COVID-19 pandemic has shown the importance of transparency and communication for reassurance. Timely updates and employee tracking are crucial to avoid fragmenting an already uneasy workforce. Validation of emergency notification systems such as company-wide email chains and forums, as well as social media interactions on a regular basis, are vital. It is imperative that these two-way communication channels extend to customers and key stakeholders as well. Despite customers generally being more sympathetic towards a dilapidation of certain services, it is still vital to provide clarity on the company's operational response. Worley Group can also introduce an instant messaging platform, such as Slack, between its consultants and clients to provide reassurance during these trying times. This will expedite the transmission of information and is far less laborious than inquiry forms and emails. Point number 2. The Worley Welfare Program. In continuation with the maintenance of communication channels, Worley must provide its workforce with the requisite resources to safely navigate through the COVID-19 pandemic. The pandemic has seen roughly a 30% increase in Beyond Blue hotline calls following social restriction measures. It has also caused roughly a 30% increase in anxiety and depression within the general population. It is therefore within Worley Group's best interest to provide its employees with internal and external mental health resources and information. Company-wide information seminars and anonymous counselling sessions should be provided to remove the stigma around mental health within the workplace. These preventative measures should be in place permanently, but should be particularly enforced in the aftermath of the COVID-19 pandemic. Number 3. The Worley Wide Web. The COVID-19 pandemic has led to a minimization of social contact. Face-to-face contact within an office setting is a thing of the past. Organizations that are able to pivot operations and work completely remotely generally tend to thrive. It is therefore in Worley Group's best interest to invest in a scalable remote service for its employees to safely access Worley's IT infrastructure from home. Current VPN infrastructure is not robust enough to account for the unprecedented elevation in access. It would be wise for Worley to invest heavily in their remote VPN network so as to efficiently pivot to a completely remote workforce. Point number 4. Assess and align. Worley Group should internally review and assess their subsidiaries' resilience programs and align to them as much as possible. The COVID-19 pandemic has seen the oil and gas industry severely financially impaired. However, other Worley arms would not have been as affected. It is therefore in Worley's best interest to perhaps incorporate a crisis bailout clause in the corporate bylaws. This will result in a dispersion of Worley's revenues to those arms in most need. This would provide a great sign of solidarity throughout the corporation and would undoubtedly be a positive in the aftermath of the COVID-19 pandemic. Number 5. Bend but don't break. The COVID-19 pandemic has shown us the importance of crisis-related employee allowances. Worley Group should start a crisis fund, where incremental percentages of revenue are pooled in case of financial distress. These funds would then be accessed and distributed to employees as a sign of solidarity. Another takeaway of the COVID-19 pandemic is the underestimated strain on families. Employees should be allowed immediate access to their annual leave to sort out childcare and to look after the ones they love.